Hello everyone, this is Nilesh here once again. Welcomes you to the second part of this video tutorial series on Jdbc. In this video, I'm going to talk about SQL injection, how to prevent it using prepare statement and improve the performance of the application, how to write stored procedure in MySQL, and how to call it in Jdbc application using callable statement. Now, in a typical SQL queries that we want to execute on database needs some variable components. Like I want to execute a query where I want to get all the students whose marks are greater than given some minimal value. Now this value we can take it from the end user, perform string concatenation to build the complete query and send that query to statement.execute query. However, depending on user input, this query can exploit the data of your application. Like if user is giving minimum marks 90, at that time the query remains simple like select star from students where marks are greater than 90. However, if user enters 90 or 1, then the new query will be select star from students where marks are greater than 90 or 1. If you can see that in this case there are two conditions involved into the effective query, in which the first condition may be true or false, but second condition one that is always true. And now end user can steal the complete data of the application without any filter. Not only that, end user may try to add some SQL statement into the query, due to which my whole data may get corrupted or even deleted. This problem is SQL injection, and very simple way to handle this is avoid creating the effective queries by string concatenation. This is where prepared statements can help you. So in the prepared statement we can use some placeholder in the query. For this placeholder we can take some input from the user and we can set that value into the statement. For this query there is only one question mark in the query, so I have set up only one parameter. You should also note that the method is set double, which is a typed method. On the parallel line there are methods like set int, set string, set date, and so on and so forth, which ensure that only the appropriate data is added into the query, and then this query can be executed on the database and result will be processed. Let us go ahead and try this practically on Eclipse. Just like previous tutorial, I will also create a new project now, and in that project I will try to add MySQL dependency. So here we go. New Maven project. I need to create simple project. I want to give group ID as com.example. Demo 03 of Jdbc is my demo, and same I want to put it name for my application. Once it is ready, in form.xml file I want to add dependency. So here I have added the dependency, and since I also modified Java version, I also want to update the Maven project. Now since the jars of MySQL driver they are added in a class path, I am ready for the further application code, and there I will create demo03 main class in a package com.example. The basic process will still remain similar to what we have done in the earlier application. So instead of wasting time, let me just quickly copy paste them from the previous application. So from the previous application, I get some constants, and also I want to create the connection in the similar fashion. So there we go. I want to close the connection, and also I want to have catch block for the same. Let us go ahead, and I have catch block for this. Done? Good. So my basic program is still same. Now it's time to proceed further, and we want to do the task shown in the slide by using prepare statement. For that, I want to first create a query. A query where I say that select star from students where marks is greater than, don't put any actual value but put a question mark. Such kind of query is called as a parameterized query. Now I want to prepare the statement by using connection dot prepare statement. You can pass a SQL query and it returns a statement. This statement I need to close it at the end. So I will be using try with resource over here. But for this statement, I need to set the value of question mark before actually executing that query. That particular value, I can take it from the end user, and I can ask end user, please enter minimum marks that you want to see. Once user has given the input, now I can set that value into the statement. Let's say set double first question mark and the value is minimum marks. Now this is a select query. Select queries are always executed using execute query because it can give you a result set, and this result set is useful for processing the data row by row. Whatever we have shown in the first demo, in the similar way, let me get the roll number, get integer, and it is like a roll number. Let me also get the name, which was get string, and you got the name column, and then double marks. So I'm writing it like a rs dot get marks, get double, and I'm passing the marks over here. You can just print all that data, roll number plus name plus marks. All right, all data will be printed. Of course, to process the row one by one, I need to put a while loop, while rs.next, and then get individual row and print it. That is great. Let me try to run the application and check if it is going well. Let me take the input from the user, let's say 98, and it should show me all the users who are greater than 98, and this I found there are 2 users with marks more than 98. I hope you understood what is prepare statement and how we can use it. If your parameterized query has got multiple question marks, please ensure that you set each and every question mark before actually executing the query. One more thing, if you are trying to execute this query again and again with the different parameters, then it is not going to compile again and again. The query is compiled only once, and thus it also increases the performance of the application. Now As you understood prepare statement, now it's time to understand how to call stored procedure in my Jdbc application. Let me first of all tell you that stored procedure is set of SQL statements along with programming construct. Stored procedures are compiled and stored on the server side. We can call the stored procedure again and again, and since they are already compiled, the speed of execution is much faster. Before we learn how to call stored procedure from the Jdbc application, we should be able to first write them into the MySQL. So let me show you how we can create our stored procedure. The very first thing, you can again log in into MySQL. We have already created the test database earlier, and into the test database we have already created the students table that you might have seen into the previous video. Now I want to write a query, a stored procedure, which will get all the students whose marks are greater than given marks. By default, the stored procedures are multiple line statements, but MySQL prompt always terminate by semicolon. So when you are typing multiple lines, you might want to tell MySQL prompt that you please wait for a delimiter, and you can put any delimiter. Here I'm putting, let's say, $. Now I can keep typing a query which may include multiple statements, multiple semicolons, and at the end I will use $$ over there. So let us get started with the create procedure. I want to give name of the procedure is, let's say, get students. You can pass some arguments, and I'm passing the arguments over here as an in argument. By default, all parameters are in parameter only. I just put in keyword over here in order to make it more readable. Let me begin the block of the procedure, and I'm keeping this procedure absolutely simple by writing only one statement. Select star from students where marks are greater than this marks parameter. Good. We can use end, but the stored procedure will be terminated only by $. So it's terminated. You might want to put delimiter back to semicolon, and you can test if this procedure is working well by calling get students, and you can pass some marks, and I will get all the students whose marks are greater than 98. Look like the stored procedure is correct, and we can use that procedure to call from the Jdbc application. Let me take you over here and let us create another demo. For that, I need the same MySQL dependency once again. So I'm just going back and creating a new Maven project. New Maven project. I can create a simple project. I will put com.example, let's say demo04 Jdbc, and same I want to put it as the name of my application. I can click on finish. Now we can add the dependency into the project, and since we have changed the compiler level, then I want to also update my project. Done. Now project is updated. I'm ready to create a main class for my project. So demo04 main. I want to put it in a package com.example package. Finish. And as you have seen in all other applications, even this application, I want to do it in a similar way, the basic code structure will still remain same. So I'm just simply copying the basic code structure and pasting it over here. I need to handle the exception as well. So let me also copy that much portion of the code, and that will still remain same. Now, how you are going to call the stored procedure? Okay, let me go ahead and let me try to specify the string SQL over here. It is going to be the only call statement. Let's say get students, and this student, I do not want to hard code this, but I want to take it from the user, so I will use question mark on this, just similar to the prepare statement that we have seen. However, this is not a normal SQL query, rather it is a stored procedure. Now, since it is a stored procedure, you need to use connection dot prepare call, not prepare statement. You need to use prepare call to create this, and you can declare a callable statement for that. Don't forget to close it at the end, and for that we are using try with resource. Okay, that is great. Now, for this statement, I want to assign this minimum marks value, which is exactly same as what we have done earlier. So let me quickly declare a scanner system.in, where I can take the input from the user. All right, let me ask user to enter minimum marks. Enter minimum marks. Done. We can get the marks by saying sc.next double. Right, I want to set up this into set double method. The first question mark, I want to put the marks over here, or for that sake I can give a name, let's say minimum marks over here. Done. Now I want to execute the query. As I know that this stored procedure is going to return me multi-row result, I'll prefer to use execute query once again, which will give me the result set object, and I want to close that result set object at the end. So better I will put it into the try with resource block. Now, just similar to the earlier one, you can collect the data and you can try to display it. I'll just copy paste the basic code from here and paste it over here. Done. All right, let me give a try. If it is working well, run as Java application, and now this time instead of 98, let me put it, let's say 96, and it is displaying me all users whose marks are greater than 96. Oh, that is great. But stored procedures are not always as simple. There are stored procedures where they also return values via out parameters. In fact, there are three types of stored procedure parameters. One is in parameter, which is used to give input to the stored procedure. Second one is out parameter, which is used to take the output from the stored procedure. And third one is in out parameter, which is used to give the input as well as to take the output. By the way, if I'm supposed to do like this, how I'm going to execute that? Of course, let us first go ahead and try to write a stored procedure with in parameter as well as out parameter. Again, I'm setting up the delimiter as $, and we can start creating a procedure. Here, I want to make a procedure in which I want to get the marks of the student whose ID is given. So create procedure sp underscore get marks. I want to give one input parameter, something roll number, and second I will take the output as marks, which will be of double. You can begin executing this, and again this stored procedure is also super simple. We are just simplifying that. Select marks into p underscore marks, where from students, where roll number is equal to p underscore roll number. Then we can say end. Don't forget to put $$ to terminate the stored procedure, and I want to set up delimiter back to the semicolon. You want to test it once? I can go ahead and use call sp underscore get marks. I want to give the roll number 1, and I want to collect the output into a variable called as the m variable, and the result which is there into the m variable, I can print it just by select m. So that is great. This stored procedure is working very well on the prompt, but the question is how I am going to call it in my Jdbc application. Let me just go into the same application, and whatever code we have written over here, the same code, similar code, I have to write it once again over here. For time being, let me comment this below code, and let me focus on the new query, new stored procedure that we have written right now. Let's just go ahead, and first of all, I want to create a string SQL where I want to call sp underscore get marks. This query has got 2 question marks because there are 2 parameters given there. Now next thing that I want to do it over here, I want to create a callable statement for this try, and again callable statement is equal to connection dot prepare call. All right, if we have statement there. Now we want to take the user input just like above. So let me ask user to enter a roll number, and once user has entered the roll number, let me take the roll number and pass it to my statement. So statement dot set integer, the first parameter was nothing but roll number in parameter. So let me give it like a 1, and let me pass a roll number. But the second parameter is the out parameter. My application is not supposed to give it to the database, rather my application is supposed to take it from the database. How I can do that? For that, you need to write statement dot register out parameter, and you can specify that I want it the second parameter. I need to give it SQL type for this. For SQL type, there is the enumeration kind of class available. Let's say types dot and the constant that has been given in our case like a double. That is great. Now we can actually execute the query. In this particular case, the stored procedure is not returning me result set. Now in such case, I may use execute update, or you may use simply execute method. This execute method will execute the stored procedure, and if return value is result set, it returns true. If return value is not result set, it will return false. So I'm just using the execute. You can also use execute update for the same. Now since the query is executed, I want to get the result. I can say get double, and the second parameter output that I'm collecting it. This output I want to display in my application. So let me just display the marks of the student is marks, and for the first user marks are 98.2. Let me just try to run it and check if I'm able to get the right answer. Oh, that is great. You learn how to call stored procedure from the application. As I said that we can either use execute query method, we can use execute update method, or we can also use only execute method. Let me quickly summarize it. When you use execute query method, you should be using execute query method when you are very sure that the stored procedure is going to return the multiple rows columns over here. So this is only for stored procedure returning multiple rows. If not, if not, if stored procedure is going to manipulate some data and then you want to know how many rows are affected, you can think of using statement dot execute update over there. Now, if you're not very sure what exactly the stored procedure would be, I would prefer using execute. And what it tells me is what exactly it is going to return. Is it going to return a result set? Please note that it is a boolean value. If you know that if it is a result set, you might want to write a code which will get the result set from the statement. Otherwise, you might want to get the update count. For getting the result set or getting the update count, you can call the respective methods of the statement. I hope this gives clarity which methods are available in a statement and how we can use them effectively to call the stored procedure. Hopefully you found this session useful. Stay tuned with me. In the next part of the tutorial, I'm going to talk about what are the Jdbc transaction management. Right? Thank you very much for watching this.